Hey everybody, welcome back to your favorite response show, X is for Show, where we love talking about all the TV that you love to watch. I'm Nico, and you can check me out at Nico Action. It's Nicoation.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And I'm your producer, Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really.
And we've had a week, and we were trying to figure out what to watch to talk about what we already watch, what we already talk about, what should go in this block, because not that we didn't think that this was a great episode of Drag Race, The Wrong Girl Went Home, but we did think that this was not like the biggest, fullest episode of anything ever. So we were looking for something new to talk about, and let me tell you, Traitors is trash. It is awful. It's terrible, and I can't turn it off, and I love it. And it's a sexy infection, and
Yikes.
Yeah, no, they're coming for me. I got the fever. And so as always, we love to start our show with a little discussion and a big question. So while we get that big question up, I want to ask you guys, was Traitors worth the 4 hours we all spent on it this week? I say yes.
Joke's on you. I didn't spend the 4 hours. I skipped a lot. I had my forward button queued, and you could really see when they were getting to some points where it was like, okay, I know what's happening here. I don't need to sit through the 10-minute cut. So we talked about covering this, and after one episode, I said no. And in thinking about it, I ultimately ended up going back and saying, hey, what if we did Traitors? Which everybody else had, I think, been much more down to do. So I apologize for being a bit of a downer on that one. I am not unhappy that we did it. It is bad. I'm going to keep watching it, but it's bad in a way where, like, it doesn't have to be.
It's like KFC.
Okay.
You're starting with chicken and spicy and lettuce sometimes, and it doesn't have to be KFC. But
well, it's like fried chicken doesn't have to be bad, but KFC makes bad fried chicken. This idea doesn't have to be.
Protest performance is bad. It's that protest performance was bad.
Yeah. This is an interesting idea that does not have to be as stupid as it is. But, you know, I'm here. I had fun.
Yes, and that's what's important.
You know, Kevo, I want to ask you, was this work fan favorite, or did you not love this? How did, where did you fall on this? And, bigger question at large, how do you feel about reality competitions with reality stars as the competitors? Let us know. Do they know things?
It's some work. It is some work. But it is some fan favorite. It is really fun and interesting. I was saying to you, the most fascinating thing about the Traitors as a show is there's really no genuine good way to play the game. Any strategy can be completely thrown out the window by the wrong person suspecting you at the wrong time for the wrong thing. And that's something that immediately became apparent from watching this show. And I think it's something that makes it really fascinating. It doesn't matter who you trust. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Anything can get you. So I'm really fascinated by that element and to see how that'll play out.
Now, how about reality shows where the competitors are competitors? It's okay. I'll be honest. You know why I wanted to cover it the second I saw it? I have 3 words for you. Okay? Johnny Bananas, Janelle. And so I was, like I said before, give me the bug. I want this. This virus is for me. And I love Janelle an unattractive amount considering some stuff about her. I'm very positive on people who have managed to make livings out of reality competitions for a very stupid reason. She also has a real job. She is a real estate agent, realtor, because there is a difference. Phil Dunphy taught me. But one of the things that I actually really can't stand is like a person that comes in and is like, I know what I'm doing. Nah, this woman's been on like 6 different seasons of competitive reality shows and has placed in 4 of them. Mama's a player. And so like, for me, yeah, it is about the Janelles. It is about the Dan Gieslings. It is about the Johnny Bananas. But, you know, I think it's also about the Alan Cummings, because part of what's fun about this is these non-celebrities all kind of have to know that he's got the biggest trailer. And so how do I feel about these shows? As long as there remains a hierarchy. And Joel McHale, the straight version, or Alan Cumming, the human version, both of them a stretch. I love you, Alan. I love you. You're the best MC ever. I love you. Please don't tell Joel. So, I think this.
No, tell him. I don't care.
He's too old and infirm to do anything about it.
What?
I feel really bad because
it's Jennifer Grey who's going to come kick your ass.
Want to see a trick?
I was a little tough on him when he came out. I was like, no. You helped kill Buffy. You helped kill the incredible Iman over on Oz. I can't trust you. You're a monster. But, one of the things that I do want to just say is that, like, the other side of it is Alan Cumming is out enough for every Victor Garber in 1987. So it's... How do you guys...
Every Victor Garber in 2002, let's be honest.
Oh, God, that man's husband. But let's just take a second. TK, what do you think about... reality shows with reality stars are reality show?
So I don't know, man. Part of me hates it because like I don't know a lot of these people. I don't watch Survivor.
Right. Same.
I have seen like clips of Shaws of Sunset specifically because I just think that's like getting to the very ends of the extreme of what like interesting reality TV might be. I don't watch a ton of Housewives. Like I know Phaedra, because I think Phaedra is one of the most popular housewives, but like some of these other ones I don't know at all. I don't know Survivor people. I don't remember what Max is from, but I don't...
Dancing with the Stars.
I don't know Max.
Down the stairs.
Yeah, I don't know Max. I don't follow the British Parliament, so I don't know who these people are.
What is that?
That guy can fuck off. That is terrible. Like that's we could talk about it later. But like
I recognized Sandra on site. I'm like, no, that's not Survivor lady. And you guys were like, it might be. And I was like,
definitely could be. It could be a long lost relative of mine, and I would not know the difference.
It's also really difficult when you see people in bizarre different contexts, like how we keep seeing that T-Mobile commercial with Zoe Saldana. She's not supposed to be there, so we're like, that's not Gamora, is it? No,
yes.
It's a guy from Parliament. Oh.
No,
okay.
It's Juliana Margulies.
One of them's going to flip up their wig and it's going to be Juliana Margulies.
So I'm sitting there just like really focused on Peppermint. Yes. Because like I know who that is.
She's the girl at the party that we know.
Right, exactly. She's my one friend at this party of too many people. I was told this was an intimate dinner gathering. There are 24 people here. That's too much.
And this is way outside my
It's too much tuna.
There's a straight dude named Burpee, and another one is an exact identical straight dude named Peppo. I cannot keep up.
There's Glurp.
I think there's a Squint in there.
There's also a person with an Indian name, not because she is of Indian descent, but because she was in a cult.
And then they all choose to mispronounce it with exactly the misintent that responds to how it's said. Poverty.
Yeah, it does sound like
everybody does say poverty. It's really weird.
Well,
I'm really my only frame of reference is Jim Dale reading the Harry Potter book saying Pravati Patel.
Yeah.
And he says it so lyrically that I don't even say it well, but like it's rough in this context. This is such a weird. So anyway, back to the original question. I guess like part of me, I get why you have to do this because no self-respecting actor, or not a group of 24 of them are going to go do this show. And then you maybe don't care if it's not, people you know. So it's this weird lowest common denominator thing where I guess like it seems like a critical mass of people do know who all of these people or enough of them are that it makes sense to do a show that casts them. I find myself kind of in the middle. I know what all of these shows are. I have familiarity with probably even less than half the contestants, but like enough of them.
Yeah, I know enough of them. Like, I feel like a sorcerer, and I'm like passing through a mystic alley, and I'm like, yes, I know of these shops by trade. Like, I feel like a Sondheim wizard because, like, I'm like, yes, Larsa, of course, yes, and
by reputation, I know
from
you.
Bling Empire.
But yeah, like I didn't know who Deontay was.
Oh my god, but Deontay's story is so intense, man.
Yeah.
That is like the whole reason I'm proud we're covering this, because it's a discussion about mental health on reality shows.
And then like I'm the biggest Real World person, but I got off the Real World before Johnny Bananas came up, so I had no idea who that was. And
I love Johnny Bananas.
well, I was totally ambivalent until they were like, we should kill him. And then they flashed to him getting into a bathtub. And then they did kill him. So I didn't get any more shots of that. And it's the most disappointing part about the whole show.
I love Johnny Bananas because he's one of a few people that I feel like, I don't want to sound dumb, but like he has such a good time producing this show. Like you can see that the game is afoot for him. You know, we got a question. Do we like the premise of the show? You know, one of the things it really reminds me of is the mole and a lot of those other who's the secret bad guy. I actually really do like the premise of the show. If for no other reason, one of the things that it's providing me is a social experiment. I love seeing the way these people group themselves. You know, it's the red lab coat experiment. If you have 10 scientists, give 9 of them a white lab coat, and every day assign the red lab coat to someone different. The next week, assign it all 5 days to the same person with no explanation. Then don't give them the lab coat for a week and see what happens. Like, there are ways to sort of manipulate factorable people, and these groups immediately turn on each other. There starts to be like, oh, well, those are Bravo people. And one of the things that was so important to me is like, I actually I felt gay panic, actually. Like I felt panic as a gay person watching them sort of come for Peppermint. And it was never that they said that she was different by being a beautiful trans woman of color, who I just think the universe of and have loved for several years of reality entertainment, though I've only come into, experience her in the last year. But at the end of it, after they all voted her out and she was like, nah, guys, I was always a faithful. Everybody kind of realized that in some ways they did decide that this person who was from an outside reality show, oh, that's a Rue girl. She's not a Bravo girl. She's not a CBS girl. They kind of decided she was this outsider, and her whole life she's been an outsider. And so can you blame a beautiful queer person of color in this world that does not respect trans people for getting her back up against the wall and for becoming defensive and afraid? And then Deontay has this moment of realization afterward where he realizes he sort of joined a mob against her. And as a man of color, seemed to really take seriously the weight that would carry, maybe even the way it's viewed to other men of color not standing up for other people who could need it. Like, there was this sudden responsibility of self that I found profound in him. And then it all went away the next episode when he went after Max so aggressively and ultimately couldn't handle the weight of responsibility and dropped out. This was some fucking I almost said H.R. Geiger Martin. George R.R. Martin shit from these performers.
I will only go so far as to say I don't think you need to actually forgive the anti-queerness, anti-blackness of Trishelle's reaction.
Oh, no.
I'm coming after Trishelle because
let's do it together.
The fact of the matter is, I think Peppermint reacted in a very in a way that I am comfortable with, and I have seen queer people and like I've seen the queens on Drag Race react when somebody kind of gags them. And Real Life T Access says the gamers did not care. They know to vote with the group to stay safe. It was so messed up for Trishelle coming after Peppermint like that. Yeah, exactly. I've seen Peppermint react this way to things that people say, and I think we see a lot of queens do it. So what it actually felt like was just she doesn't have any black friends or people that react a different way than she would to a situation. So when she's backed into a corner, she might just really demur. But when she sees someone who takes kind of a big reaction to it, she immediately turns it into a thing. And, you don't have to say that doesn't have to be a thing that black people do, that queer people do, but it is something that, like, from other reality TV shows, I have seen black people and queer people do. And I sort of wonder if Trishelle is so in a bubble that she has never seen anybody react differently than she would. And she just goes so, like, look at the difference between these two people.
And like, it's about that energy. It's about the fullness of self. Like when I look at Peppermint, that's a woman who's ready to claim her space. When I look at Trishelle, I'm not saying this of this real person, but the way she is portrayed and the things I've seen, she looks like a woman who's sort of like, why isn't my space cleared for me? I was on the real world. But it's not the same thing when you're on Drag Race, because like, the thing that Peppermint did here that these other girls did not understand. These other girls.
Yeah.
That these other girls did not understand.
Keep it up.
This was a motherfucking untucked moment, okay?
Yep.
This was an untucked moment
from
a real queen being real for a minute. And like, these bitches just didn't know how to fucking bring the tea.
That's even something that I felt the moment that Pepper slipped and was like, I am the traitor. And I was like, God fucking damn it.
Girl, they're never gonna let you live that down.
Yeah.
Understand that drag queens' heads are just full of air. And it is a queer person thing. Can you believe what giant airheads most of us are? It was just absolutely thoughtless. And part of the problem was, you're in a position where you get defensive, and what she should have done is just started laughing hysterically. She should have just laughed at herself and been like, yup, I'm the traitor. You're dead. You're dead next too. I'm the motherfucking traitor. That's right. Yeah, okay. I'm the traitor. And, I feel like at the very least, she would have been able to feel more comfortable, because like I said, there's no real perfect strategy, but when you get defensive, that makes you look so much worse, and it's such a tense situation that it's hard.
And Kevo, you are kind of pointing to go back to the question of do I like the premise of the show? It's weird because I feel like I like the premise of the show, but then the question is, how do you go about doing it? And they do this weird thing where they are half acting / LARPing, and they are half in Real World Road Rules Challenge. Like, they're half in all of whatever their core reality TV shows are. And there's no point at which anybody tries to be actually funny. There's no point at which anybody is like, can you believe this is so absurd? We keep talking about murdering each other, and of course no one actually dies. This all doesn't matter. So I'm gaming, like I'm having fun with the game.
That's why when people were like, Larsa, you didn't seem upset enough that your boyfriend was gone, I just wanted her to be like, maybe
because I'll see him.
I've lost a real family member in my life, so I'm not gonna mourn him. Like,
this is our week away from each other. Like, it's great. So I wish they would go harder into one lane or the other, because there is no humor in this show, and I that's a bummer. I really hope that season 3 brings in more drag queens and people who are funnier, and that the show can. It's Alan Cumming, like, it's not even, nobody's laughing at the fact that it's camp either. Or if they're just not going to do that, they should actually turn it into a LARP and not like
seriousness, yeah,
not let people break character,
Right,
give
exactly.
give them they should make it a game, a role-playing game. People shouldn't be able to talk about their external TV lives. Like, you have to play your character and you have to talk like all this stuff is real, like you do in an RPG, because otherwise this in-between space leaves me at times I'm really into the game and like, oh man, could they get it right at all with picking the person, or can they do the challenge? And then there's just a moment where like you picked the perfect one when Peppermint slips and says she's gonna go after the traitor when she means the faithful. That could have been funny. Like, that just we could have fun with that. Instead of it just became such a snowball of fake drama. It wasn't fun.
No.
And I think that the part that has me the most frustrated is none of these dummies have ever played Mario Party, and it shows that nobody can seem to figure out a mini game where you just don't be in the spotlight. Okay, of course these people don't know how to avoid the spotlight. Like, I also...
It was really when CT failed that you knew that it was just absolute horseshit. When John failed, I was like, yeah, that addled old man probably can't fucking find his ass from his elbow. But when CT, the champion of all physical challenges in modern reality TV, can't manage to run away from a mile-an-hour moving, like, gigantic spotlight, you just know something isn't quite right.
And, the thing that had me kind of frustrated, I'm a Big Brother guy. And as a Big Brother boy, right, as somebody who's seen like 13 seasons, I know there's like 200, so I'm nobody. But as somebody who has enjoyed more than 10 seasons of
You
Big
knew
Brother,
who these people were.
I sure did. And I kind of cry every time Janelle's on screen because I love her so much it defies logic. And I think she's fucking perfect. And so every time she gets on screen and she's like, my problem with Kevin is that he's stupid. He's very nice, but he's too dumb, so he can stay. Like, one of the things that I got from Janelle that made me disappointed that they picked Poverty instead of Janelle or somebody a little bit more competitive in my type of competition is watching Poverty fumble the chalice was watching your best friend fumble their solo at the concert they've been practicing for weeks.
So you did not have fun with that moment.
I had frustration with it because, like, I think it's so stupid to say, but Dan is not my kind of Big Brother player. Dan is a very talented Big Brother player, and I've seen multiple of his seasons, and he's very talented. But I'm more of a Janelle guy. I'm more of a Jen season 8 guy, but I don't want to see anybody get burned with a cigarette. I really love... So Janelle is part of an alliance that gets taken out really early, and she hangs in because she's undefeatable. Anybody who knows my love of fiction, I love somebody who can't be stopped. I love somebody who can't be defeated. Dan all he ever does is win, and that's not an exciting champion for me. And there's something so unfortunate about, I think he and Phaedra could have been Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett. They could have wreaked merciless havoc across this mansion. But there's something about the way Poverty gave him the opportunity to court his own corner of the Traitors that seeing her sort of fumble, I would have rather seen Sandra. I would have rather seen, I can't think of his name. He was eliminated early on, and he is in the relationship with Larsa.
Wes? Is it?
Unfortunately, his name is slipping my mind, but he's the guy who was voted the smartest. Peppermint was voted the most likable. There were people who I think added a little bit more. And if you're asking me, I think Poverty has exactly what it takes to do very well on these reality shows. But I was hoping for something a little bit more nuanced from the third member of the Traitors, instead of somebody who is very clearly a very strong, full force player. I wanted somebody with a little bit more back end.
It's funny. I get what you're saying. I had a lot of fun with that moment because it was the closest to...
I love you. I would never betray you.
Yeah, I mean, it was the closest to humor. For one thing, she can't figure this out. She cannot get somebody to drink from this chalice, but she's also not trying very well. so like she's just bad at it, and it's really funny. And finally, it's, you know, if they're actually killing somebody, and this is why I'm like, it would be funnier if it were Critical Role were producing this as an actual LARP, because like, just being like, well, you know, technically my challenge was I have to kill someone. Doesn't have to be who we voted on. Doesn't have to be somebody who's in trouble. I literally just have to get the glass in someone's hand. And finally, like, even though it's metaphorical, even though it's fake killing, it's funny that she just literally kills someone to offload the mission. Like, that was the first time I started laughing. And then from
the JRPG player.
Yes. And then from there, the fact that she like starts to get a little bit of a head because of it, and she's like, I don't know, maybe I'll fuck with Phaedra of all people. Like, I'll throw them off their scent by being like, fuck all the housewives. And then Phaedra is so raccoon caught in a fucking bag about it.
Not cool.
No, she's really pissed.
I even said that when Dan and Poverty were talking about, oh, we're going to turn on Phaedra. I was like, it's not going to work, and you're just going to make her mad, so this is going to be awesome.
You know, and I do want to say that I've kind of learned my lesson about prejudging people with this show so far. First of all, number one, producers, look at me, look in my eyes. I'm a very handsome man, so you can trust me. Handsome men always tell the truth. You guys need a celebrity chef on here. If you want somebody so cutthroat that they will literally make these people bleed, you need a celebrity chef.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Antonio LaFaso would destroy the competition.
Too famous. Give me somebody who was on Next Level Chef this season.
Okay.
Give me one of the
okay. I hear
crime
you.
Scene. Antonio LaFaso could show up to like help. That actually would be amazing if she showed up to help Alan Cumming host the cooking challenge.
That's amazing.
That would be phenomenal. But she's not. She makes too much money to show up for this fucking hellhole of just garbage people. But God. I want to say it's Cassie Young. She was on this season. I follow her on every social media app. She gives the best, just Instagram really quick recipes. I follow her kimchi recipe.
Oh my god! There's an amazing winner of Blown Away who she's from Jersey, and I just can't think of her name, but she won the All-Star season of Blown Away. She could be on this.
Yeah. I totally and I would be bummed for a lot of people because I don't know them, but I think it would be much more interesting to get some people from other type, from skilled competitions. I'm sorry to say it. That's a really fantastic suggestion. I really do hope they get more Drag Race girls.
Because I got to be honest, this made me so happy. Kevo and I cannot wait to check out the first season. I'm going to sign up for House of Villains right away because I don't think he could actually beat Alan Cumming for me. Alan Cumming is somebody who, I always drew strength from. He was obviously such a homosexual when I was growing up that I'm looking at you. I'm kidding, Victor Garber. Call me daddy. But, there were people who were not quite as out, and until Joel McHale can talk about his hair plugs, I don't think he's ready to talk about the role he plays in queer society. So I'm going to give it to Alan, because if somebody is hosting a show about being a little shit-mouthed cum-guzzling bitch, it should be Alan Cumming. But I'm going to check out these other shows too, because this has had me really excited about this sort of seeing the social experiment unfold.
I respect that. I want to see House of Villains just because I do love New York, and I'm excited to see the moment with Omarosa. I feel like I know that group of people a little bit better, and it's also
I love New York.
I love Tiffany Pollard.
Oh shit, she's on it.
That's who says the cum guzzling horror line.
Oh my god, you're right. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I know you didn't not know that. It's just like a brain.
Yeah, it's putting every piece together. I just met a whole lot of unfamous people and had
Right.
to pretend I
Yeah,
care about
exactly.
Yeah.
So, man, I want to keep up with this. I do want to watch House of Villains. Gia Gunn tweeted, "Who wants to see me on House of Villains next season? I would like to be all caught up so that in season 3, when Gia Gunn does inevitably show up, I'm fully prepared for everything." I think that is the greatest casting, and I truly hope that.
I'm double checking, but you're telling a joke, right?
No, sir.
Oh, you didn't say JK.
She sure did show up on Twitter and ask who thought she should be on House of Villains, and I absolutely
hasn't she
do.
already had hers?
No, she has. Her villainy has not had enough room to grow.
Has not reached its peak, I guess.
One
Precisely.
more. Miss Vanjie.
She could go on too. She's a villain to me. Sorry, I said what I said.
Candy Muse can't go on because they'd be worried about the insurance.
Yeah, that's actual murder.
If she got killed, she'd fight back.
She beat the shit out of that letter.
No, I'm not going.
She just tears the letter up and says, "I'm not lip syncing to this letter."
Fuck that.
Hey,
Man,
Candy, we love you.
I can't decide if I feel like you do, Nico, like I'm interested in the social experiment, or if I feel like it's so contrived that I'm here for the sloppiness of the reality TV aspect of it, but I remain disappointed in that social aspect. I just don't know if I'm actually seeing a real reaction to anything.
I want to actually challenge with one other. It's unfortunate because it's something that I've really come to realize about myself as a reality viewer.
Mm-hmm.
I would really rather back a loser with convictions that line up with my own than back a winner who has socially acceptable convictions. I thought that Sheree literally said, "I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm being pushed into voting against my friend Peppermint. What is wrong with me?" And literally as soon as the vote was over, was like, "What the fuck did I just do?" And was so mad at herself in a palpable way that then immediately she stuck to her guns. And when everyone tried to push her to change her vote the next time, she didn't. And then as soon as it came out that the second person, Max, was a faithful, she was like, "Again, you people." And seeing this woman recognize the challenge to her convictions and rise above it. And if I can also, seeing, and I mean this affectionately, seeing what people who are B+ smart think they'll get away with when an A is in the room is always fascinating. I think Kevin is one of the most beautiful men I have ever seen on a reality show. The gentleman from Bling Empire is stunning. He and Peter, who is from The Bachelor, I think his name is Peter, make a deal to vote for each other, to throw off everybody's scent and make them seem like palpable players. When they do that, it cuts to Janelle basically going, she's so aware of the obviousness. But
what's so weird about it is neither of them is the traitor.
It's that moment at the end of the second season of West Wing, for all of you people who like shows where the president yells at God in Latin. There's this moment where Joey Lucas is helping Josh Lyman, a Politico agent, is helping a member of the White House staff figure out how to test what people will think about something the president is going to reveal. And she creates a governor from an industrial state, and they put out a fake version of the same story. And when you're listening to it, you're like, yeah, that's amazing. And then as soon as it comes to a head, they literally tell you, you're an idiot for thinking that was amazing. And the realization of how certain things are not other things is such a profound thing to put in something like, the president screaming, "God, you feckless thug." But that's not a real world application. And seeing Janelle, a woman that I tend to think is very intelligent, although maybe at times she is a fan of certain players that I am not. She came out deeply in favor of Evil Dick in season 8, and that is not where my brain is at. I cared about Big Brother way too much for like a decade. But you know, I really thought that was a very telling moment in what they look for in competitors, because they range the smartness. They know to put in some Janelles and some people who aren't ready to play at a 6-time ranked competitor level. And that's also a part of the social experiment that I find really rewarding. Like,
Same.
yeah, watching these people come to it. Also, Larsa, I cannot keep looking at Larsa and thinking, Ariana Grande's on this?
It's also hysterical watching all of these idiots write each other's names on tiny chalkboards. Sometimes it's funny because of the one vote where it was like giant chalkboard in this tiny little cabin.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's funny because it's instead of Larsa, it's Lars. Or instead of Max.
I didn't know there were that many ways you could spell Max, and they were all wrong.
Yes, too many of them were wrong. I feel like if they wrote your name wrong, you shouldn't go home.
Yep. Also, nothing stupider and funnier and more obvious even than Kevin and Peter being so weird was the D that Pravati scribbled out to write Kevin, indicating that she was going to write
for Dan.
So clearly they can't be in cahoots. As soon as I saw that, I would be like, also, I just can't believe that Ekin-Su doesn't remember that she got a drink.
Are you kidding me? Look, I don't know enough about Love Island, but those people seem like they would never, ever Gilligan their way home.
That was the weirdest part about it. Like,
yes.
You know, I challenge, but you should have made it a more regular cup. It could have even been red. And, like, you know, that's a thing. But, like, this rusty-ass cup, that kind of made it too... It's almost insane that, yeah, she can't remember. Especially the way she was walking around screaming, "Oh, killer, kill me!"
She also like spit out the wine. That was such a weird moment. I thought she
was poisoned for real.
I know. I was like, geez, they're not fucking around anymore. Alan Cumming wants somebody to die in his castle.
He'd do it too, of all people.
Yeah.
Man, Celebrities of Hill House is a really tough show by Flanagan. Oh my God, Jonah, you love Janelle? Oh my God, how have we been in each other's lives for like as long as we have, and you don't? Okay, Janelle is literally the whole reason to watch Big Brother. She is the best competitor in the universe. I love oh my God, I can't.
And she's doing well on this, so I love her. I don't know her at all, but I am very enamored by her and her gameplay. I think the way that she is doming Bergie is hilarious.
I love the way that she literally like Regina George's the other girls around a little bit.
Nico, do you remember in the group chat earlier saying Phaedra is a very demented person?
There are times where she's like,
well, hold on. No, hold on. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember specifically what moment caused you to say it?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to say yours because then I want to say the one that I thought it was.
There's this moment where she's just like, sometimes people just gotta die. And I was like, what show is she on? Is this do your best Vincent Price impression? Because
so
it's getting demented.
That is why I think it should be acted, because that is clearly, you know, like they're not killing anybody for real, so it's got to be acting. She's amazing. She should be acting. She should be LARPing. Like she should be playing a whole game, whole character. When she was sitting next to Deontay, wiping the tears off his face while he cried about having screwed this up again, that was what I thought you were talking about.
No, it's okay. It's the game. It's a hard game.
That was fucked up. That was legitimately disturbing.
It was. Okay. Do we want to wind down Traitors?
Yeah, this is, I mean, I feel like we've said everything we can say. It is weird. It is very messy. It's fun. It could be funner. I would love to see this thing get some upgrades, or again, somebody else to take the format and turn it into a full-on game. I think like real gaming reality shows have just kind of started to find their lane, and it's mostly been with tabletop gaming and Critical Role. But I think we can take it further, and this is just too unserious to have any moments that you're supposed to think are real.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it demands that you take every moment as seriously as you can, or you're never going to think, oh no, they might not make the shape in the water. Or you're not like, oh God, what if they keep throwing black roses at the wrong fake corpse? The plots of these shows! And also, there's one other thing I want to say.
Mistrust. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
The other thing I do want to mention is that, Kevo, you brought up something while we were watching where when Deontay went home, it really struck a chord with how many competitors we've seen opt out of shows in the last couple of years, especially the last couple of seasons of even like Worst Cooks in America has had 5 or 6 competitors just leave the competition. And I think it's not because competitors aren't made of the same stuff, but I think it's because we're trying to send fewer people home with reality TV PTSD. And we're taking mental health a little bit more into the picture. And if the right thing was for Deontay to leave, I'm so sad we lost who I thought was a great competitor and very, very handsome man. And I am very glad that he did what was best for his soul and his spirit and his self, because those 3 things are way more important than any reality prize. And if that is the direction that reality TV is moving, 2 things. Number 1, I think there will be a lot fewer damaged drag queens. You hear me, Rue? And no, I'm kidding, Mama. I'm kidding. But number 2, I think we'll see a whole lot more educated play when people see that it's not quite as much ad hominem argument and a little bit more cerebral play, thanks to better mental health parameters placed on the show itself. We'll probably even get more creative competitors that'll elevate these shows to new levels by taking out people who just aren't at the right place in their life to compete at that time.
Yeah.
All right, if we don't have any last thoughts, then I think we need to bring in my brother in Janelle, evidently, Jonah, so that we can talk about some Drag Race where I think they made some wrong choices.
Yeah.
You ready, Jonah?
We're all good.
So, number 1, you look so handsome. You look like a Midwest account analyst for an insurance company who has a really weird weekend warrior side, and I'm really into it. Can't wait to hear all about the mummification and electro later on. But for now, tell everybody where you can find them.
You can find me over any socials at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
All right. Now, switching off your recon profile for a minute, let's talk about the Traitors and you for 2 seconds. I know you were peeking in the green room for a little bit, just having your own little untucked watching the screen moment. And any thoughts on the Traitors other than Janelle is a Emma Frost on Earth?
Actually, Emma Frost, I said it before, I'm just going to vocalize it now. I believe she's the most, she's the Big Brother female competitor with the most challenge wins across all of her seasons that she's been a part of, which is an entirely huge feat. Like, she is a powerhouse.
7, 8, 14, 22.
She's got huge feet.
It also has Dan, who's a really amazing Big Brother competitor.
Stop it! Stop being a part of the goddamn Dan agenda. What
Listen,
is people?
I'm just saying Dan is a good reality competition player who knows what he's doing.
The Dan agenda really stresses me out.
I'm not the biggest Dan fan, but I am aware of how much of a juggernaut in these competitions he is. It also has Peppermint. We love Pep. I mean, it's fashion. It's fashion.
Oh no.
He had a good joke.
Teek, say the joke again.
But is it fashion?
Yay.
It's fashion.
It's giving fashion. I don't know why it transforms into an old innkeeper.
Glenn Close, but is it fashion? Hearing you guys talk about it,
Fashion.
seeing people from this cast, I didn't realize it would be celebrity people, and then looking at that picture, that beautiful picture that Kevo had for us, seeing like, oh, these are people I know. Like, obviously, you know who Peppermint is. We love Peppermint, but it's like, oh no, there's people from Big Brother. There's people from Survivor. There are people like.
Are you a Sandra person too?
Yeah,
I'm not a Survivor person, but I'm a Sandra person. You know what I mean?
I'm also not a Survivor person. But no, it looks interesting. It looks fascinating. That might get me to, want to watch it and root for the people I love.
All right. Now, let's talk about rooting for people we love. I, once upon a time, thought that Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana were kind of dumb. And then one day, working for the Walt Disney Company, Miley Cyrus bought us all ice cream. And I'm actually fudging the timeline. I was really thoroughly obsessed with her way before then, but
not by a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, not by a lot, but yeah. I mean, the moment that turned me into an enormous Miley Cyrus stan for the rest of my entire life was the first time I heard the vocals on The Climb. I knew that was a woman with talent. And speaking of learning, the moment a woman had talent. Look, the episode was great, but nothing will compare to a mandatory meeting having a comeback for every good as fuck line that some producer encouraged Plain Jane to have. I have not since Scar fucked with Mufasa seen somebody come for one of their sisters like that. I just don't understand why Plain Jane with this mane chose this time to be a bitch.
Chose so plainly to be deranged.
Oh my God, you're perfect.
What was so beautiful about this moment is that she says, you just haven't impressed me looks wise, and then she smirks. She almost breaks character. She's this close to breaking because she knows how just plain mean it is just to say something like that. And
most improved is a huge insult. You know what I mean?
Whether she's happy to play along with production, whether she's just producing herself and she's like, no, this is the fastest way for me to have a form of stardom. I'm going to be a massive bitch. I'm going to play the bitch. And she's playing it. And at this point, I am understanding she's playing a character. Nico, don't get upset at me for saying this. It's very similar. I shouldn't say very. It's similar to what Valentina does.
Oh, no, it's 1,000% Valentina, but I root for a Valentina who's a Latina with a lot of flair. I don't tend to root for a Valentina who is basically a giant Boston burger fart.
Well, you know she's Russian, so...
She's Russian on home.
Mama!
You are on fire tonight.
Was also very beautiful about I know we're talking about Untucked first, but who cares? Because it was just it was a really good episode of Untucked.
It was such a good episode of Untucked.
Which was then Plasma saying, "Why don't you untangle your arm hair from that bracelet before you start talking to people?" To which Plain Jane responds, "Who said that?"
Okay.
Plasma. And then she turns around and goes, "Why would you be talking when I haven't liked your looks either?" And I love that Plasma's response is, "Because I don't agree, my love." I just this does all feel insanely producer contrived, and I don't know where I fall on it yet, because seeing the girls on social media, I do worry a little bit that somebody figured out that they were going to love each other too much, and that if they were not specifically told to have some fun with it, they were maybe going to just be too kind and be boring. I don't know if they were not going to do that and producers told them anyway, we want this to be a really good season. You guys should do some stuff. But things to me, like, it was noticeable that when there were only 6 of them, Morphine had to be the villain. And Morphine was not as kind of like despicable about it as Jane. And I'm using despicable loosely because I don't really care. But she did a bunch of the same stuff. Lo and behold, they're sisters. So, of course, their mother taught them everything. But then the fact that it's Morphine who stops Jane and says, "That's my sister, be careful." It just kind of feels like once they were all together, somebody said, like, you can kind of change the. It equally felt weird that Nymphia is being, as Megami put it, a little goblin on the first day and just won't stop talking, and that she, without any indication of how she got the knowledge, starts to indicate that she feels like maybe Plain Jane voted her low. That again feels like it's either an edited moment where somehow somebody knew, like Jane told somebody and then told a cast member, and that cast member told Nymphia, or specifically a producer told Nymphia and was like, it could be fun if you hammed that up a little bit.
Can I ask you a question? Because I don't disagree with what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I really want to know your take then.
Yeah.
One of the things we saw earlier this year, earlier last year, was at the start of All Stars, there was a lot of, but we're all really best friends. Big smiles, everybody. But by the end of All Stars 8, we were all a little bit more aware that some of the girls were not as close. So my question then becomes, is perhaps this is a move by the girls to show a strength of solidarity to better protect the show, or do you think it's a really genuine love for each other?
Well, it's wild. I still don't know. And I'm going back to the social media thing because, again, it is a little bit anomalous to me. We have not seen the girls this active on social media. It is, you can really see like Dawn, Megami, a mandatory meeting, all like Plasma, they all talk a lot. They said wonderful things about Mirage and Morphine. Like, they've all been really encouraging of each other. And when it was just the first 6, they were all completely encouraging of each other. Dawn kept saying, like, do not be mean to Morphine over the episode. Don't get upset that people said that stuff about Amanda. We were all fine with it. And then when the next 6 or 7 came on, a bunch of those same girls were like, be nice to Jane. Just don't put hate out there. We know she said some shady stuff, but just, it doesn't need to be hateful. And then this episode, when they're finally all together, there is a little bit of bickering happening between Queens and Plain Jane, especially. And like between Amanda and Plain Jane, especially. So I don't know. I think they are trying to do a little bit more to present a united front, but I do think there is also a very keen understanding that they are here to perform. And they're okay with the kind of meta performance that being a reality TV contestant leads to.
Okay, I'm gonna really go with that. Kevin, would you just mind going back 3 images for me?
No, you gotta say which image you mean. I don't know what
I want to call it the left cast image.
Oh, okay. The first cast.
Yes. One of the things I love about this image is that it reminds us that this episode was shot at south of the border. Sorry, that's Q. I think one of the things that we really saw with the things you're saying, these girls standing by each other, is if nothing else, these girls are able to step outside of any pettiness they had with one another and say, okay, but you weren't there. So you can have all the shit you want to say about anybody on this cast, but you didn't live through this. So you don't get to have that opinion. Because I am going to say, no matter what, I'm not trying to project anybody into anything, but a mandatory meeting did actually kind of have to stand her ground against a bully. And there is something to be said about, okay, we're going back. We finally watched 4. We're in the middle of 3. I thought I loved Raja from 7. Nope. I had no idea. Raja is in my top 5 queens of all time. Raja is a demented genius and everybody just needs to get out of her way. But there is a visible, horrible difference in the way girls fight in 3 and 4 and the way girls fight now. It is repulsive. I mean, some girls are so insane to one another, they pick each other up and shake them. And I will literally never recover from that. It is not a contact sport, darling. So, oh my God. But
no words. Should have sent a poet.
Uncharacteristic, the level that some of these attacks went to in a way that felt much older. I had really misunderstood and mischaracterized a lot of Mistress's comments, and re-listening to some of them, I was wrong. There were other comments made in 15 that I stand my ground and are actually gaslighting. But there were some comments made by Plain Jane that use a tactic that implies that because I'm very calm and I'm stating things as facts, there's nothing I'm saying that is wrong. And anything you do is out of control in response. You can often note these when a person goes, "Why are you being like that?" I'm being very calm.
The other thing she does is just like, there's a point at which she goes, I think people will think that your look is bad and my look is good.
That's the one. I'm letting you know what other people think.
It's
so
really,
you know.
Yeah. And I think that honestly, I don't think Amanda is flapped by it first. I don't think she's going like, oh shit, people might not like me. She really just goes right to, why are you even speaking to me? Which I think is just, that's the thing, is like, for every time, you're not wrong about the bullies. And like Lucy did at time take some bullying, but I do think that when you see what Amanda does, there is a little bit of like, you gotta at least do that. When somebody comes, I mean, like, you can say that you're hurt, but if you can't go to that person and just be like, why the fuck are you talking to me? I don't know. I really appreciated that was her response.
Oh, absolutely. I think Amanda really was not one to be trifled with, in a way of, she is such a beam of positive energy that the negative Nancy of Plain Jane couldn't really like break through in that sense. I do want to give the very, very slightest amount of credence to what Plain Jane was saying in that moment, only in the sense of, they just got done talking about how everybody there hated Plasma's Tweedledee and Tweedledum look. They all talked about how it was a really bad look. The idea, Joan of Arc, great ideas, terrible execution. It wasn't the best, presentation on the runway. I think Jane, in her mind, in the villainous mind of, how do I make this moment about me? Let me tell Amanda that her looks are bad. It makes sense to tell somebody, if we're going to tell people whose looks we didn't like and who we thought were bad, for me to say this now. It came out, whether the actual intent was a good production moment, a good moment for Untucked, and to create the storyline between them, or she miscommunicated and mishandled, genuinely just trying to say, hey, how are you going to up your runway game in a much more constructive way? I don't know, because I don't know how much of Plain Jane is fully produced. There are elements where I'm like, no, I know what is, when Jane is when Plain, it's kind of just being herself, or when she's really playing the character. But the dissonance between that moment in Untucked and then the talking head made me just a little confused of, okay, was she genuinely trying to get to a nice way of trying to say something, or was she just trying to justify it later?
I feel you, because I remember there was that moment from last week where I was talking about where I felt like Jane was trying to genuinely engage on someone's look and people just immediately jumped. And like, well, yes, sweetheart, when you behave that way all the time, it's the boy who cried wolf situation, where like, you make people believe you are being a bitch all the time, and then when you say something that can be construed as bitchy, this is what's going to happen. And so it gets really difficult. And it's difficult to tell in the first place what your intention is. Muted.
One of the things that I found really difficult to read was the intention with a lot of this episode. This was meant to be the ball, but it felt very much almost muted. It felt pushed a little too far forward. And I understand that what we're starting to see is wanting a world where we get to see every queen do every signature challenge. So you kind of have to make decisions. Do you have too many girls do Snatch Game or too many girls do the ball? But I will tell you this much, this was too many looks for too many girls. And I myself was very tired by the end. I don't think I read any of these girls from the like understood them better from watching the ball looks. the one thing that I did really walk away from this with was kind of disappointed in Geneva. Great first week, really loved it. But when she was like, can anybody tell me why I'm in the bottom? And somebody was like, hey, I really thought this was the wrong kind of costuming. And she was like, work. Then don't say you're open to the criticism, or accept that you're bad at taking criticism. But that was kind of an ugly moment. You asked somebody for an answer and then shamed them for answering. Oh, could you try it again?
That wasn't even the part that bothered me. It was when she was done and she was like, they were being shady voting me at the bottom, but I survived. And it was just, that was when I was like, oh, she really doesn't get the critique at all. And, Jonah, to your point, the thing I kind of was curious about with Plain Jane in terms of like how much this was a moment and how much it was maybe like a moment plus some actual like attempt to be real. I really wish she had said, hey, I want you to know, like, I'm voting you low because I didn't love your look. The way it got presented was kind of like, hey, I'm not living for your look. And then when there was pushback, she was like, and also like subjectively it is, or objectively it is bad. Like everybody's going to think it's worse than mine.
Yes.
And if she came in with the attitude of like, hey, this is where my vote is going. And even like maybe she'd been like, I know there's been some questions about how I voted before. I would have at least been like, she's trying to say, you can change my mind. And she does even say like, I hope you do. But I don't know. There's something about it that was so weird. And I give her credit. I am more thinking about this and enjoying it and sort of like confused about whether or not it's a mind game or is a real person that's a dick than I am about anything on the Traitors right now. Like this to me is more, I'm so much more invested in the drama.
Down to the Boston, Plain Jane is the John Mayer of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
Truly.
I love that. In a very relatable moment where I feel like Plain Jane, we'll have to see how the reading challenge goes. But they have time to prepare for that, so it's not so much that.
Yeah.
But it feels like sometimes in the moment she doesn't always have the wittiest responses of the time where she has a little bit of time to think about what to say. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, same. Don't we all think about in the shower arguments and fights of things we wanted to say?
100%.
I cannot tell you how many times Jonah has been like, guys, do you remember when we were talking about this thing 3 hours ago? I just want to let you know, I was thinking if I had said this thing, and it's brilliant, it's perfect, it's cute. He gets to share that with people he loves because he's a human being. Plain Jane can't go up to Megami and be like, remember before when I was insulting your artistry as a person?
I've got more.
I've got more.
It was because it was that moment of them when they're all doing their makeup, getting ready for the runway, and she goes over to Geneva to try to stir stuff. But then the thing that she could come up with is, are you afraid that you didn't use a lot of the unconventional material, which has nothing to do with it, unless they told them that and that wasn't there. It's this weird thing to try to make like a problem out of. It's because she had to think of it kind of immediately. She didn't have time to like really dwell on what something I can say about her outfit, and then later come back. No, sister, I'm just kidding. No, it was just a joke.
Yeah, there are moments where Plain Jane is like, damn it, I forgot the rubber chicken. Okay, quick, different joke. And it showed in this episode that maybe perhaps not all of the queens are here to perform by personality. And that's a little bit a result of the push for social media queens in a good way. I am not here to make the same joke that was made at the beginning of the first episode where I think it's Q and Tsunami joke that social media queens can't do other shit. But there is something to be said about personality isn't the same thing as photography. And that's true of all types of queens. There are plenty of very amazingly fascinating, beautiful people who photograph and video so well and can put on a great show. But part of what makes Drag Race work is who you are in the workroom, who you are between the challenges. That's the energy that the other girls feed off of and build from. So part of what you're being asked to do is craft a personality that contributes to the bigger picture. I am a big fan of this cast's talent level, but I am a little concerned about some of the edit so far. Dawn is incredible in every challenge, and I think they're maybe letting that carry Dawn a little too much, and they're not giving Dawn enough talking head interviews in a way that I feel like I'm losing out on who she is, but I'm seeing a lot more from, say, someone like a Mandatory Meeting, who I'm very positive on, but has so much personality to begin with. She kind of naturally fills the space she's in. So I'm really wondering about how a lot of these girls are going to continue to evolve as the season progresses.
And like, to your point, I also feel like this is maybe a bit of a problem with having this many queens to start the season. Even if you do a split finale, premiere, which I like. I do like that we get more time with them. Once they all get together, especially because nobody leaves that first episode anymore.
And don't forget,
it's 14 people, and Saphira and Q didn't get a ton of time either. Saphira, who we talk about as like one of the presumptive top 4, I don't feel like I know Saphira that well. Saphira has such a big personality, period, but like you see it out of drag too. She can say something as simple as, "I'm allergic to cats." Rough. And you just feel like,
yeah, oh my god, yeah, I see what you mean.
You feel like you've had like kind of a moment. Yeah. God bless Dawn. I feel like Dawn is kind of the opposite. Dawn out of drag is just doing a really good job commenting on what is happening in the moment. But in drag, she's really funny and really silly. But like they've cut to her a lot less. And it seems like a lot of that is that her commentary is not really being... She's not the same out of drag in terms of what she's giving her, which is great. I think that's really fun. But with 14 girls, it just ends up being... We didn't get a lot from Mirage either. Like, these are all queens that we have said... I just named 3 that I think we've all said either could be in the top 4, should be in the top 4, or just that we really love. And I think that we have not seen a ton of them, and we've seen these past couple weeks a lot of Jane and a lot of a Mandatory Meeting. It's been fun so far, but it'll be interesting to see how it levels out, and if we ever get to a point with a queen where they don't even necessarily go too soon, like they shouldn't have been booted off, but they go too soon, like we never got a chance to have that moment with them and get to know them.
So to echo what you're saying, when it's the split premiere and there's only 7 people, it's a little bit easier to kind of get to know everybody just a little bit more because there's less people for an editing choice to be, okay, we could put this person's talking head there. They haven't had one in a little bit, give them there. Everybody, they tend to try to give everybody at least one talking head an episode. Whether it be they talk about the challenge, they talk about coming in the workroom, they talk about something. They want to give everybody just a little bit of screen time. They also try to give people who are either in the top or the bottom, or especially if they're going home that episode, a little bit more because they're not going to have enough time if they're going home, or they have to help craft the narrative that this person is in the top. We have to kind of see a little bit more of these people and be not shocked, which is why I was only a little bit surprised to see Saphira in the top, because we did not see a lot of her talking head. We saw her a little bit in the workroom. We saw her maybe have 1 or 2, but she didn't really have a storyline going on. And even though she was in the top, she even said it on Untucked, they love what I did, but I really do think it's between Q and Nymphia. And I knew from just my knowledge of how reality shows are created that, okay, yeah, that makes sense. A lot of the queens that we're talking about, because they really weren't central to the plot of this episode, you don't really get to see them, and that's a problem, I think, of reality television in general. Until you get to a point where there's like 8 people left and you don't really have a choice to not show them, you get these episodes where you'll miss some people because they're not central to what's going on. It's unfortunate that they haven't gotten more talking heads, but then you look at the people who have gotten more. Plain Jane got a lot of talking heads this episode, and that's because Plain Jane isn't the narrator of the season, but is saying things with such conviction of being a bitch that that they want to put it in because it's entertaining for them.
Wait, so is she a cross between John Mayer and Fonzie? It's not her show, but it might as well be Fonzie's Happy
And
Days.
she's very much the Iago of Othello.
And Aladdin.
And Aladdin, yeah, to Morphine's Jafar. No, it was
No, but that would be an amazing cosplay package, and I would legitimately have Megami put it together.
yes. This episode was very fascinating because as you guys are watching now the earlier seasons, the first challenge used to be a design challenge. Used to always just be a design challenge. And what I love about the newer seasons having a talent show at the beginning is you should be doing something that's your bread and butter, something that showcases the world and the judges for the first time. This is who I am. This is what I do. It's very easy to say, I don't know how to sew, and so you're not going to have your best episode if you don't know how to sew, especially when it's early on, you're at risk of going home. I also, to circle back to something that was talked about a little bit earlier about this, there was a lot of looks and there was a lot of queens. One of the problems is about Drag Race is because, in theory, you have to plan for being there until the end. You're in theory, you're there till the end, till you get to the finale. So you have to have a look for every single runway. A lot of queens and a lot of fans vocalized it's a little unfair how much money they have to spend on these outfits, on these costumes, on this drag, and then they don't get to show it. And so,
I just want to say, I think it was Heidi said that her package for All Stars 8 cost more than several girls combined for her original season.
And they're now doing stipends. The game is changing. It's really funny. There's like it's like watching real estate markets. There are some years where it's really been a World of Wonders market, and they can just lock the girls into these horrifying contracts that we would not tell anybody. We wouldn't tell people looking to go into the army to sign something this bad. And then some years you're like, it's really a girls' year. They're offering $20,000 like starting bonus to go on. Nobody goes home this season. So it's very. This is a great picture of Paul. By
That's
the way.
why I started laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
TK, just to your point, just at 1,000%, everybody bought up in Asbury after Sandy.
Right.
Like, after you buy up in a real estate market when it's available, this is a great time to be on Drag Race.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great time to come back, but I think it will be interesting to see what happens as time goes on. I do think the idea of queens will start to outgrow the show, and we really might get to a point where a starter queen from Kansas City can be like, I'm not coming on unless I get a stipend, or unless there are some concessions made such that the $20,000 that I spend isn't gone in a day when I'm the first one home. I pray for Irene Dubois every day, man.
Same.
Yeah.
Cast her on All Stars, please. I am begging you.
I want to see the drag, but also it's just wrong.
I'll start the hashtag. I read for All Stars 9. Who started this? I
just want to say we should definitely have pork chops, some stars race.
Yes,
and,
I've always wanted a first out season.
Yes.
A lot of people
season would be incredible.
Yeah.
do talk about the first out, because I'm going to be very honest. The first out of the seasons are usually some of the most iconic people. We look at
Absolutely.
Pork Chop, we look at Vanjie,
Magnolia Crawford,
Shanji,
Kelly Mantle,
you guys
Shangela,
know how I feel about Hershey.
Penetration.
Hershey was a disaster.
Everything. Thank you, because I was literally about to say the same exact thing if you didn't. This was a travesty. It was a disaster.
Yes.
It was a miscarriage of justice.
We lost a top 8 queen in the first episode.
Yes, top 8 for sure. At every step of the way, a miscarriage of justice. Shouldn't have been on the bottom. Shouldn't have been in the bottom 2. Shouldn't have lost the lip sync. The performance she lost up against was embarrassing, and her performance was really great. And so I'm very, very annoyed right away, especially because Hershey seems like such a really awesome person. She has this amazing backstory. I felt similarly to seeing Peppermint get the chop on Traitors and her standing up there and saying, well, here goes a trans person who was trying to be visible by like poor Hershey and her family. And I only hope that she gets a shot on All Stars or in something like that, because then she does get to go home and see her kids right away, and now be better prepared for next time to not see her kids for hopefully longer, and win top 3 at least.
They
sort of
the only mother on the mother episode.
I sort of wonder if they were setting it up so that she would come back with Cornbread for All Stars, because that would make Cornbread has said she won't come back and do All Stars unless she can do a regular season first. But I wonder if that maybe has changed since she said that, and that they thought this would be a really obvious bring her back for the next All Stars, and especially if Cornbread would do it too, that would be the first time you had like 2 really avowed close friends, like drag sisters coming in.
That would be another great concept, would be a season where it's like family reunions, where maybe it's like pairs or something.
Like,
Well, which was
All
even
Stars
which was the concept of the original All Stars that just kind of went off the rails. But if they did it less as like a you're required to work together and more of a just like you're each coming in with somebody you specifically have a close relationship with, that could be really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. I mean, the only reason I even speculate at all is because you're right. It was a really weird elimination. It really didn't feel like she was in she was in the bottom. Didn't feel like she lost a lip sync.
I think she had she had a really great first look.
Yeah.
The second look, I personally didn't resonate. I love the concept. I think what really kind of put her in the bottom is, yes, she lined the pockets, but she was given those pair of pants. She didn't really transform them. She didn't make them, and that's half of her outfit is something that was just given to them. And so I do recognize and feel, because I truly thought this was a terrible loss. But there were some of the comments that from the judges I do agree with. Like, I don't know if the shoe really goes with this. I do think the hair maybe needs to just be a little bit bigger. But she is a light. She is a joy. She will be dearly missed from the show. I do think her presence will be really missed from the show.
She had everything she needed for my sake to be an incredible performer for an entire season. Dexterity of look, a strong sense of personal spirit and conviction, and a warmth toward other queens. She could have gone all the way.
I really did kind of want her to go farther, especially I wanted to see her in something like an acting challenge or an improv challenge, something where I feel like might be a little bit more in her wheelhouse, something that she would feel maybe a little bit more comfortable with, because she didn't seem like the most comfortable sewing. Granted, she did start with something that didn't look the best with the socks, but not everybody starts off with, bangers. Not everything is going to be a banger, but she's going to be missed. I really did like this queen. On the converse side, I do personally really agree with the winner. I thought Nymphia kind of blew everybody out of the water. My jaw dropped when she walked out, and arguably one of the best looks that we've ever seen created, hands down, point blank, period. Like, her entire package, and the fact that she was being a goblin and messing around with people and being annoying, and then she had the absolute nerve to come out in that tie look, everything, truly.
I just want to say that Nymphia Wind, you were literally 3 different Final Fantasy characters this episode. You took my breath away. It's hard sometimes because, there are people where, when I look at Q, and I know I don't know that, I do know that much. I've seen literally nearly every English-speaking season. I've seen more seasons than anyone who's seen every US season alone. I feel like I know Rue's judging style. When I look at Nymphia Wind and I look at Q and I look at Saphira, I see ravens. I see people who are going to change the face of this competition forever. And it's a little tough because these 3 looks and Q's looks, it does sometimes feel like you're not watching exactly the same level of competition. And the thing about this Q look, and I just want to say, anyone who isn't aware, there was an area in Walt Disney World called Pleasure Island, and Pleasure Island had a mascot where the character was basically a moon head, kind of like Mac Tonight from the McDonald's commercials.
But not a Nazi, the good one, the original.
Exactly. this is such an unbelievable thing. Like, it makes me question what I thought as a kid was silly magic.
Oh yeah.
I think Q is she belongs in I have a lifetime subscription to the MoMA Metro
The MoMA. Come on, MoMA.
The mama. Sorry, that was weird.
I would if
Hey, no,
they
she did
told
Judy.
me that Q was doing a special exhibit at the MoMA, that would be everything to me. I think
Yeah.
this is an artist. This is an artiste. And it had to go to Nymphia because Nymphia was pop magic, but Q fucked so good it literally left babies everywhere. So
Can I also talk about one of my I have two favorite moments of the entire episode of the entire poll, which overall I think for a I'm gonna call this first episode. I thought it was a very strong first episode. Nobody looked horrendous. I do understand the bottom three. I understand the top three. I fully agree with the winner. Everything about the episode was entertaining, was great.
that look was one of my favorites of all time. However, Kevo, could you just go back to that other look you showed for 1 second?
Yeah, I'm just gonna flip through them because Jonah did all the work to do it.
This has so many shades of Jack Kirby's Madness vest reimagined by Chris Bacalo as worn by Shade the Changing Man. And ultimately under Gerard Way's Young Animals imprint was reimagined as both Shade the Changing Girl and Shade the Changing Woman in the style of Pete Milligan. Whether it's intentional or not, actually evokes the most powerful images of comic transgender characterisms ever. And if this isn't intentional, this is still one of the greatest things she could have given to this show as a comic book fan.
I lied. I have three. Oh, I love it. I also love this. The way she was looking at the camera, I had to pick this screenshot. It was too good. She's too good at TV. Stop it. I have three magic moments. One is in the workroom when we were talking about it earlier, where Nymphia goes up to Jane, and it's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like you kind of rated me low, and Jane goes, "I would never vote you low," and looks directly at the camera. Again, breaking character, so beautiful. Two, I was Nymphia's final look. I truly am like just blown away, like my jaw, like slack jawed. I love this. It's so good. Of her just looking directly at the camera and saying, "I would never put you in the bottom. I would never do that." It's you haven't gotten to season 2 yet, but there's a moment in Untucked season 2 where Raven says to Tatiana, "I would never say your shit. I would never do that." And the editors just cut in the entire compilation of Raven calling Tatiana shit, and it's the most beautiful thing in the entire world.
I appreciated you passing me the screen cap because it finally made me realize who Blame Jane looks like, and it's been bugging me for weeks, and it is Paula Costanzo from the Animorphs TV show. Yes. And Joey the series, and Road Trip, and Josie and the Pussycats, and
a number of local community theater productions.
No, this guy has been working in Hollywood. He is well known for being a major character on Royal Pains. Paulo Costanzo has worked. That's like saying Margot Martindale is no one. She's no one to you, but she is someone to all of us.
Well, Paulo, I am legitimately sorry. As somebody who has made 282 episodes of this dumb fucking show sometimes, I know what it's like to have people think that your USA series is a dumb fucking show. I'm so sorry.
And then
we're still not going to watch it. We're going to watch...
I like Royal Pains. I think it's good. My third...
He likes Royal Pains. He thinks
like
it's
good.
Nice.
My third magic moment of this episode is when Maya on the page is getting critiques, and RuPaul asks her, "How do you see yourself?" And Maya responds with, "I see myself, this loud, big personality like Mary Canary." Like that was like my favorite look that I did. And RuPaul says, "I don't know if I really get that from you. I feel like I'm getting this timid energy." And then in the best unintentional hilarious moment, she says, "No," but very like timid and meekly, giving No explanation, no counter, no nothing. It was the wrong answer in the moment, but one of the best answers she could have ever have given. Like, I think it's the peak of unintentional comedy of someone saying, "I don't think you're that loud," and to respond very meekly and timidly say, "No."
No. I really I really like had a response to that moment too, because to me it felt like it was so weird that RuPaul didn't either just absolutely cackle or have like a Pearl, is there something on my face moment. Like, I thought it really might piss her off because it was really the one opportunity. You know, sometimes she gives you a stupid little lifeline and all you have to do is like throw out a fart joke, or if she had screamed, "No, I'm not," like, I really think Ru would have been like, "Ha ha ha, yes." But because she gives an obviously unintentional but very funny response that I could also see just not actually being funny in the moment. It's funny when it's cut on TV, but probably wasn't funny to Ru. That was when I was like, oh, she has to go home. That she flubbed. That's worse than Miss Fame not knowing how to answer "How's your head?"
No, it's okay.
I think Maya would have dominated like a season 6 or a season 8.
Yep.
Or a season 9, but like there is something about what they are looking for from a girl now, which is not a great drag queen. They're no longer looking for a great drag queen. They're looking for an incredible all-around entertainer, performer, personality, investment. And what Maya is an incredible drag queen with unbelievable stunts, super fucking awesome looks, and a one-of-a-kind personality. But that's not what Ru was looking for. Ru was looking for a girl that fits a specific mold. And you can make $1 billion being 1 in a million. It's just Maya is trying to make $1 billion being 1 in a billion. And that's a little bit tougher on this show.
I totally agree with you. I just think...
era.
Yeah, 100%. I think, sometimes somebody will be really amazing at something and Ru will tell them, take your energy for that thing and take your intelligence and your love for that thing and apply it to everything in this challenge, and that you will go far. And I really think why Maya is ringing out like such a dud to me is because getting up and doing a handstand on the box and like cartwheeling over it into a split, that is huge personality energy. That is so much. And if you are brave enough to like get out onto the streets of South Beach and do that in a restaurant, I think you are not a timid personality. But when somebody says that to you, when you have not proven that to them, if you don't think, how do I turn that same energy that tells me that I can handstand on a fucking box into how do I respond to this question in a way that says and signals you will see it the next time I'm given the chance, then you are you are not ready for this.
It's that Aja is willing to do that split off a box, like she's sacrificing herself to the eye. And it's that, when Aja is then asked, "Girl, how's your pussy?" She's going to be like, "It fucked the whole stage, mama." And like, she's going to be so excited about it. And Maya's kind of like, "My tuck hurts, thank you." And there is nothing wrong with being like, "I have hurt my beautiful penis." There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the joke answer that makes Mama Ru laugh for 5 minutes. And I think we're starting to figure out that part of the winning formula is the cackle. Do you get the cackle? Do you earn Ru's amusement at your interpretation of her prompt? I think it's not that Maya isn't an incredible performer, but it's that Maya kind of like, and I feel really bad saying it in this episode, Geneva just didn't elevate. One of the things that I did think that Geneva's looks provided was a lot of production value. There was a lot of production to what Geneva brought, but Ru was looking for a specific shade of polish. She's not just looking for any polish. And this is very cool. This is very fun. If this was America's Next Drag Theater Star, I think Geneva would be in the top 5 for this episode, not in the bottom 3. But she was faced with a very different criteria. And, I was recently reading a lot about how there's never been a movie to win the Best Musical Oscar because there have never been enough films nominated in that category. I wonder how many girls over the years have never won RuPaul's Drag Race because it wasn't the right category and there weren't enough other girls to compare to them. Geneva is so unique and she provides something so special. But, this is definitely another example of a girl who was competing kind of on a different show than what Ru was looking for from season 16.
Drag Race itself is asking you not just to be the best drag queen of the select cast and the thousands upon thousands that audition every year. You are asked to be a singer, a dancer, a comedian, and a damn seamstress.
When is Selena Gomez gonna enter?
Great question. I would love her on. Drag Race is one of the hardest talent shows to win because you have to be one of the most well-rounded person and entertainers to exist. You have to legitimately be able to do everything. They ask for a lot because they look for a lot because they found a lot before, the idea of, well, I found it once, I'm going to find it again, is true. You look at all the winners, some winners might have better strengths and some weaknesses in certain areas, but every winner has always been somebody who is multifaceted, who can do many different things. And it's a lot to ask for, but also at the same time, this is season 16. We know what they're looking for. How many times do we talk about how if you want to get on Drag Race, take a sewing class, take an improv class, take a dance class. The one talent you can have and it'll be great for you, you don't specifically need is to be able to sing. If you can't sing, they're going to auto-tune you. And if you can sing, that's wonderful and great. The only time someone has ever been in the bottom or close to bottom 2 for not singing well was way back in season 5 with Alyssa Edwards, where Alyssa didn't have the best singing voice. And they literally were like, your singing was cute. Glad you went comedy with it. But that's not really the fairest metric to... I understand why they don't often ask for you to be the best singer, which is why we had, at the time, or I guess not anymore, Queen of the Universe, which was entirely just a singing competition.
I really do hear you, and I don't mean to be such a little shitbird about vocals because I'm a vocalist. But I want to say that there are ways to get around not being the strongest vocalist. I'll be really frank with you. Probably the best vocalist we saw in season 15 was Lux Noir London. That is pitch, that is control. There is a tone there that sounds like silk. But Lucy was a definitely more commanding vocalist because Lucy sang every single note like it was hard. However, the best vocal performance we got was the probably not a singer, Sasha Colby, who gave us what is one of my favorite literal songs in Goddess. And, there is something to be said about you can get away with not having a talent, but you cannot get away with being untalented in something. And it really is that marked difference. It is, are you at a 0 on it or at a -50? That really is like a huge barometer for future success.
And I think the only thing that's bugging me about the Nymphia discourse, I really have high hopes. And I think the feeling I get is that she is going to be one of those queens who can apply the same creativity that allowed her to create the hat dress to an acting challenge or a singing challenge. But we have no proof that she is. And when those challenges come, I think the most proof we have is that she played that moment with Plain Jane and just the whole goblinery of being in the workroom that day really amusingly. She might tank the vocal challenge, absolutely. But we have not seen her compete in any way. And I loved the look, but I also really loved Q's look. I also love Saphira's look. I also really loved Dawn's look. I loved Amanda's looks. They maybe weren't quite so let's write a book about the fucking fashion references that are here and let's put this in the Hall of Fame. But they interested me in ways that sort of lead me to believe in great things for all of those queens. Everybody's saying like it's Nymphia's now, like it's Nymphia's to win, when we haven't seen how she performs in a lot of the Drag Race standards. We know Sapphira is going to be real sitting pretty when there's a vocal challenge. It'll just be interesting to see. It is tough to... I don't love when people get so invested in a queen this early in the competition.
Well, I feel attacked also. Kevo, could you go back one image?
You got invested in 4 queens. That's allowed.
I'm invested in 15 queens right now,
exactly.
and there's only 14 in the season. You know, I love 2 things about this image. Number 1, I love that 3 people were told, come like you're ready to have fun. And then there's Isaac. And I want to say one thing about Isaac Mizrahi, and that is, as somebody who has seen every episode he ever judged, Cindy Crawford's friend. Oh, you beat me to it by 1 second, you gorgeous son of a bitch.
So sorry.
As somebody who's seen every episode of
Modern
Project
Family.
Runway All Stars that he has judged, I just want to say it's actually really special because Drag Race really let him be himself. When Bruce Banner gets angry, he turns into the Incredible Hulk. And when Isaac Mizrahi has a camera on him, he turns into a humongous faggot. So I'm really excited that Isaac Mizrahi got to be a huge faggot.
I really appreciate that you brought in a comic reference with the Hulk, because what I want to say is that he looks like he's from an Elseworld where Oswald Cobblepot is a gigantic homosexual.
Oh my God. Yes.
See,
also, he might actually be Jumbo Carnation.
And for me, he's sort of like, remember when Rip Taylor played that really gay genie in the DuckTales movie? Double OA! Yeah, I think...
Yeah, and like the guy that they're fighting, the guy who's trying to get the lamp, played by Christopher Lloyd, is absolutely every Middle Eastern dom on TikTok. Yeah.
Can
What's the name
we
of that
also talk
bird
about
that
this
we
image?
always love from the Caballeros? I'm sorry, Jonah. Go ahead. Mine is dumb.
Michelle looks so happy to be there. She's so excited. Carson
Always.
looking very lovingly and longingly, like, when is Isaac gonna message me back? Isaac is like, what is she doing here? I don't know. And Ruth's thinking about a sandwich. She's
He was
like,
asleep.
Ari.
Ru is not there.
It's Ari because
Ari.
he's the Ari
Isaac
bird.
and Carson would do an amazing remake of Death Becomes Her.
With
is
Michelle.
very on brand for this season.
Yes,
This
exactly,
season
with the
of
potion. Yes, Michelle would be Bruce Willis and Isaac Mizrahi.
That's
And
what I was thinking.
yeah, yes.
What I love about this potion is that yes, it represents immunity, but what it actually represents is until it's no longer usable, which Ruth said we'll go into that more, and then just never did.
Yeah.
Unless they maybe told them at a different point. It is going to be an extra 10 seconds for both Sapphira and Plain Jane every episode.
Yep.
Are you using the immunity potion? And them having to think and mull it over and go, no.
I want to say something that I hate that I'm going to say because I wish there was another queen that had ever changed the universe. Oh, no, there is. Okay, I feel better. I was going to say that I don't think there's ever been anybody for me that changed my understanding of this show the way Sapphira is already. One episode, I understand. It's too early. But as an opera boy, Sapphira for me is changing the game the way Bob did. Bob's first episode, Rue was just like, oh, okay, I guess I have to change the rules. And, I was going to say no one else ever did that. No, Jinx did. Jinx Monsoon, we live in a world where Jinx Monsoon might not have been the first Drag Race performer to ever be on Broadway, but Jinx did it. And the whole world said, this incredible creature is doing this. And now people like Marsha get the the luxury of being in a remake of Cabaret that can only happen on Broadway. And I will not have this argument with anyone ever again because of the Studio 54 Alan Cumming revival of Cabaret. And it was the original book. And I will not, I can't do this. Anyway, so.
Would you like to know, we quickly know the distinction of the first Drag Race Queen to be on Broadway?
Oh, that would make me so happy. Please make
that
me
would be
smirk.
circling back to Traitors. Peppermint.
What was Peppermint in?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Gift, no matter what.
Could've been
you know,
Taj.
I just really think that where we're looking is a future of Drag Race that's going to be very different, and I think Saphira
Head over heels.
Oh shit, that's amazing! Wow, Head Over Heels, the Go-Go's musical.
Yes.
I was unfairly critical of it, and long-term series contributor Tori Sheehan politely told me to shut the fuck up and just enjoy some really good music. And wow, what an incredible show! And I am so glad that somebody told me to give a jukebox musical a chance, because I do tend to be a little protective. I think Saphira is going to change the game. It is not that Monet Exchange did not have a beautiful operatic voice, and I'm sure there have been other opera performers, but Saphira is doing it with the opera of Monet, with the fashion of a Raja, but honestly with the personality of a Ben or a Bianca. I just think Saphira has something really unique that, I don't know. I think I'm different just as a man for getting to appreciate this queen. And I think she is the benchmark for 16 for everyone. I think everyone watching 16 has a Saphira right now, whether it's Nymphia, whether it's Q, whether it's Dion. And I think that's this season's magic. This is a reset season in a way that's going to bring people to the franchise in a really special, personal, intimate way. And I'm really grateful.
To that I have to say, I hate Dionne Warwick.
I'm dying to see if she, at any point, doesn't have to be for Snatch Game, but I would love to see if she does a Screamin' Jay Hawkins impression of some kind. Between the laugh and the voice, I think she is all set.
I also just want to say that, and this is so stupid, but if any of these girls for Snatch Game do any of the things we cover, like if one of these girls breaks out a Star Trek character or breaks out a Marvel character,
I mean,
if
Megami is very likely going to do somebody that we...
I just really want Mirage to do a sexy ghost face. Like, I think Mirage is most improved. Guys, can we just give Mirage 240%?
No, she's not. Her talent was so good, and her runways were only in the middle.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I meant from what we originally thought, because we were originally...
Oh, yeah.
She's a sunburn.
From like this far
okay.
back.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
instead we're all like, I
I
would
feel so
literally
bad.
let her do anything to my dick. Like,
But
when
Mirage is amazing.
Morphine said it was a breadstick and seaweed. It did look like a breadstick and seaweed. It did.
It did.
But it didn't matter, because when it came, I actually was very pleasantly surprised. Maybe we're deluded and we just love her so much, but she she really sold it on the runway. Very similar to Georges from season 14. who
Yeah,
could
very
really sell
similar
an outfit.
vibe.
But I don't think her outfit really wasn't bad. Like very, very deserved, safe.
Yeah.
So I want to really give her props. I know we saw in the episode she struggled and she was upset and a little bit nervous of what she was going to have to do. She made it work, and I really want to give her props for that. Another person I really love to give props for this episode is Tsunami. I think her first two looks were really, really captivating, really great, and she has an amazing walk. So getting her to see her walk the runway, I think seeing her in an element. This egg look, oh my god, it was so good. Not the first egg look, but we've seen.
Oh, I'm with you. No, Tsunami, literally, this was one of those things, so many people didn't understand the potential of, I want to think of somebody who really surprised the world. Maybe when Sandra Bernhard started recording legitimate music and she did Aerosmith's Dream On, and people were like, damn. Or, to throw it back to comics, when Emma Frost transitioned from Gen X to New X-Men so seamlessly, Tsunami went from background girl to front runner with this egg look, with that boombox. She didn't just decide to be a reference queen. She ate your reference queens and became a new monarchy. This was amazing.
She pressed play in that boombox. That's all we wanted her to do. That's all she needed to do was just hit the play.
And the way she called that Candy was going to get so excited. And then Candy and all of those news articles. Hey, mama, you're looking great there.
Candy walked in looking so beautiful. It's so gorgeous.
This is probably my favorite Candy look from her original season.
It's one of the strongest entrance looks I think we've seen. There were a couple of people, I think between like Tsunami and Dawn, arguably could have also been in the top 3, depending on how voting shook out. If they campaigned a little bit harder, I think those are in my opinion, the 2 people who you could have argued also been in the top. I know Tsunami didn't have the strongest final look. If that was maybe just heightened just a smidge, it would have been better. But even this episode, I think Dawn really kind of smashed it. Like, this Audrey Hepburn is gorgeous. I think had she done different makeup for the Audrey Hepburn look and just done, traditional gorgeous face or tried to mimic what Audrey does, I think she would have maybe sold a little bit better. But because she did her very signature, elfish makeup, it does take you out of it a little bit.
I think she did what I'm going to call like glamour Jack Skellington. She sort of took her normal kind of elfish look, and I feel like she went a little bit like black and white horror, like the Detox look. Only her tongue didn't take me completely out of it in a way that frustrated me. So, no, I love Dawn. I love this. Does anybody have anything else they want to get in on this episode before we wrap?
No, go ahead, Gubbo.
No, you can go first.
Back to my original point, I'm just like, everything we're talking about, Jonah, you mentioning Tsunami's looks, as soon as you said it, I was like, I can't even remember what Tsunami wore, and I'm really glad we had pictures. Not in like a it wasn't memorable way, in like a there were 14 queens way.
With 3 looks each.
I think Q is very likely to be in the top 4. That's not like a want, although I would be very happy to see it. I just think she seems like she's really going to serve some looks. I actually can't really remember Q's looks either, because there were so many people, and Nymphia really stole the show, and then this is one of those episodes where you really were only getting half the story if you didn't watch Untucked, less than half, because so much of it was about that moment with Jane and Amanda. So like, I lost a lot of girls that I don't think were like even bad safe, where even safe is forgettable but not terrible. I think everything Q did was amazing when I look at the pictures of it. I thought Tsunami's references were really fun. There's just so many. I do hope. I love a premiere. I love a split premiere. I love getting time with all of them. I think it might make sense to send a girl home at the end of each of the split finale episodes, so that we start with 12.
Which season 6 did.
Exactly. And, I remember everything about that season. It's definitely not because I've seen it 22 times.
And I really agree with you, because we almost have watched one of them funny while I was that's too much. That's way too much to have to remember and reflect on. And when it's the talent show and it's 14 girls each doing one thing, or next week we have a comedy challenge, it's 14 girls all probably doing. They're all doing one thing. Even when it's Snatch Game, you're seeing one thing from a person. This is way too many things to have to remember. By the time we got to the end of the number of girls, you can't remember the first ones. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was actually the problem I had with any season that had multiple Snatch Game multiple Snatch Game segments.
Yeah.
That episode just becomes so frustrating. Meanwhile, I was just telling TK that the funniest thing I have ever seen, I think it's India, is like, can I tell you that is the worst Tina Turner I've ever seen? What's love got to do with it? Hallelujah. Like, people coming. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I think Shangela is one of the greatest villains in television history. I just think she is everything. But why I'm bringing it up is because that's a definitive moment. And, when I think about that Snatch Game, I think about Raja and the smize with the blood coming out of her eyes. I can't name every Snatch Game performance from some of these seasons with 2 Snatch Games there really does start to be a point of diminishing returns on some of this stuff. And, I think TK, you're really right. If we were to start these seasons with a slightly lower number of people, it would make it a little bit easier to handle some of the challenges that I look forward to that I sometimes feel get sort of overwrought with appearances. So,
Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we wrap this thing up?
So, for some,
Yeah.
Real play.
Mother Michelle Gellar as the judge for RDR Live might seem strange, but I'm genuinely wondering if I have enough time to rewatch the entire series of The Crazy Ones before Friday, and I even might, because that is genuinely, Buffy is obviously everything for everyone.
Yes.
But if I ever met her, and I'm going to talk so much more about it next week, but that is the role I would say, thank you. You were amazing. You get no credit for it. So this was an interesting choice. But again, this is a challenge I'm glad to see this early, because it'll give each girl a chance to shine and not be so bogged down like this week was.
I genuinely think you could have, maybe for my emotional satisfaction, only have brought in Tori Amos to outstrip Sarah Michelle Gellar. Not even Mimi, not even Janet. And those are people for whom are like, you could resurrect Jeff Buckley. That would be on the level. It's getting Sarah Michelle Gellar, who represented being strong in a way that I don't think I rediscovered until Drag Race. I said to Jonah a couple of months ago, I didn't decide to go full force on my professional music life until Drag Race, because women like Bianca and Jinx showed me you could be that strong. The first person who showed me that was definitely Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy. And I just think Rue is so good at celebrating an incredibly long line of strong women that slayed before her. And not that Buffy actually came before RuPaul, but, culturally, Buffy did come before the Drag Race empire. So that's where I'm at. All right, let's wrap this up. Anybody got anything left? All right, anybody got anything right? I think we all got everything right. That is the correct answer. How's your head, guys? Pearl. Yes,
Perfect.
Corey. I do, in fact, manage to make a Jeff Buckley reference every single day of my life. I think it keeps him alive inside me, because one of those days I'm going to hit that F sharp in grace. So anyway, Jonah, our show would not have the trajectory it's had this year if it hadn't been for you and TK pushing us so hard to give Drag Race, this incredible empire of such incredibly talented performers, a try. It means so much to us when you come out. And while I'm bummed you weren't here for the first half for Traitors, I hope you check out Traitors and you maybe join us for some finale coverage. But until you decide to hop on the peppermint train, where can everybody find you online?
You can find me at any social at Peak Jonah. That's Peak. Thank you for having me.
All right, you guys heard it right here. You can find him on Truth Social at Peak Jonah. Kevo.
No.
He said any social.
Not my baby. No.
Kevo, you produce the most amazing show for us. I am so grateful for everything you do. Where can everybody find you online?
You can find me over on the socials at Kevoreally. That's Kevoreally. Peak, where can the folks at home find you, sir?
You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, where can everybody find you?
Well, I guess you guys can find me all over the internet at Nico Action. That includes my SoundCloud, my YouTube for my music, and probably like in Tasty Cake's comments. Thank you so much for joining us, Tasty Cake. Jonah, thank you so much for being part of the audience before you were on the show. As always, we love seeing people in that audience like Tori Sheehan and so many of our other amazing fans. It means so much to us. So we got a couple of things we want you guys to do. As always, we appreciate it when you guys like, comment, and subscribe. But the three things we need you guys to do: number one, stay safe. Number two, be brave. Number three, always evolve daily, just like these amazing queens and these dumb traitors. And we will see you guys at the next reality competition.